All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to those in person. Good morning, and welcome to those watching us online. We are gathered here today for the Sunday meeting for Conscious Living Spiritist Group. We are a not-for-profit organization with the mission of disseminating spiritism. And we have some quick announcements before we invite our speaker of the day. First, we have our conference coming up, held by the Spiritist Federation of Florida. This is going to happen on April 6th and April 7th, so it's coming up quick. Those who want to buy the tickets, please do so, because it is, like I said, coming up quick. We're going to have 4 speakers coming from Brazil. Divaldo Franco, Eulália Bueno, Denise Lino, and Alberto Almeida are all going to be coming from Brazil just for this conference about Jesus in our days. In that conference, we're also going to have the Jesus in our Youth's Day. So this is going to be for the younger ones. And for anybody wanting to find more information, you can visit the Spiritist Federation of Florida website, or you can use the QR code that we have there on the screen. We also would like to inform that the course called Introduction to Mediumship by the United States Spiritist Federation, USSF, is now live. So now we can enroll. So this is a study guide for beginners, and it's, like I said, it's called Introduction to Mediumship. Very interesting. For those who want to learn more about that, just go to the website, which I'm going to show in a bit, and click the Enroll Now button. Or you can click to learn more a little bit as well. So these are some of the aspects that the course is going to be approaching. So there's going to be 18 video lessons delivered in 4 modules, 8 different instructors, adding a wide range of experiences, quizzes to promote self-reflection to make sure we truly internalize the learnings, and then lifetime access to all lessons. And it is 100% free. So definitely encourage people to sign up for that. And this is the website, learn.spiritist.us. Talking about the Conscious Living Spiritist Group, we also have our own study groups, and one of them is the Spiritist Review. So this is every second and fourth Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and it's via Zoom. So you don't even need to drive all the way here. You can just access. So those watching here, those watching us online, can go through the Zoom. We also have the Genesis, the study of the book Genesis by Kardec. And this happens on Sundays, 9 a.m., as David likes to say, for the early risers. This is also online via Zoom as well. And we have the In the Realms of Mediumship. This is Wednesdays, 9 p.m. So the other one is 9 a.m., this one is 9 p.m. Also via Zoom. We're going to read then a message from You are immersed in the ocean of God's love. You are never alone. God is within and all around you. Discover Him and let Him lead you with wisdom. You are His heir, owner of the universe. Let His love permeate you completely, guiding your will and your steps, enabling you to grow with little or no suffering. In God you find everything attain completeness. So this is a very heartfelt message, very fulfilling, and some of these things says like you're never alone. We are never alone. We always have God's help. We always have the spirits that work for Him, helping us, guiding us through our tribulations and trials in every step that we take. Like it says, in God you find everything. And now, before we invite our speaker of the day, I want to do a little prayer so we can all get in this vibration and be able to connect ourselves so we can better obtain the lessons. Dear Heavenly Father, guide our minds and our hearts today, and may we open them to internalize the teachings that our friend Angela is going to bring to us today. May we find bliss, happiness, knowledge, and wisdom in her words. May we also find ways to apply that knowledge to our own way of living. And for the discarnate spirits among us, let us also learn how to live better. Let us also learn how to guide each other. And so be it.
Amen.
And now I'd like to invite our friend Angela Stewart Angela was a worker of Conscious Living Spiritist Group, and now she has her own Spiritist Center, Mia Inner Light, further down in Miami. And she's going to be talking about this very, very interesting topic that is called the power of resilience. Angela, welcome.
So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you again for being here today. It's a pleasure. I always love to be here because this was the house that welcomed me here in Miami when I moved from New York City. And Susanna was the only one who was able to calm me down because I already arrived thinking I'm going to open a Spiritist Center tomorrow. And Susanna was like, do you know anyone? Not really, but I'm opening. And she's like, I know you will, but calm down. You have to, everything has to have the proper time. And I was like, she's right. And then I finally calmed down, and it finally happened in the proper time. So awesome to be here again with you all. And the talk today is very powerful. It's very special. And the important thing is that we all can do what we will see here today. What happened is that many times we say, oh, they are special, they are stronger, they know better than me. I could never do that. So we kind of start imposing ourselves words that are negative, saying that we don't have the same strength. We don't know. We know that God gives each one of us our own cross to carry. And we don't know what is the size. And my own cross can be different than yours. So my strength for certain things are different from yours. So let's go trying to understand little by little what I'm talking about. So the first thing I want to talk is about resistance. So resistance is the ability to not be affected by something, especially something negative. So resistance is hardness, is strength. So resistance is important. Resistance is very important. But we have to understand that we can resist until a certain time, and then we can't resist anymore. So we have to develop certain qualities to improve. And that's when we are going to start talking a little bit more about it. So we see here an athlete with a long piece of wood. Long piece of wood. If you saw the Olympics, you know what I'm talking about. But we see this piece of wood next to it, and it's a very hard, strong piece of wood. But unfortunately, when you apply a lot of strength, you break it. So this piece of wood is resistant until a certain force. If it's stronger than what it can resist, it breaks. And this is like us. We go through certain situations until a point that we break. But we need to learn that we don't need to break. We can be more malleable. We can be flexible. So you see here the athlete using the proper instrument for his exercise. And you see it bends a lot. And then it goes back to place. So this is resilience. So resilience, it is the capacity to recover from trauma. Is the toughness that you develop. But it also is elasticity and flexibility. So it's important to have resistance, but resilience is what we have to develop. Is how we can bend and we can go back to place after very, very hard situations that we can all go through. So continue talking about the power of resilience. Look at this tree. Amazing tree. and it fell, but the sentence is perfect. Fell years ago, never gave up. So when it fell, the roots, a little piece of the roots remained in the earth, in the soil. And this little piece of roots were able to keep it alive. And it learned how to grow in different ways. So this is what we have to put upon our lives. So the sentence is here. Challenges are not punishments, but opportunities for spiritual growth. Resilience is the ability to embrace these challenges and then evolve. So this is what we have to understand. We all have certain challenges. Maybe right now we are going through an amazing time in our lives, but maybe not. And if we are going through tough times, we have to develop this characteristic, this quality. Sometimes it's not easy, but we can. Yes, we can. And we, little by little, we can learn how to do it. So to start, we have to talk about Superman. Oh, my goodness. Superman. So I remember I was little kid when I watched his movie the first time in my life, and I was mesmerized with his blue eyes, his amazing power, ability to fly, and his gentle characteristic in the movie. So I was like in love. And then he finally met his real Lois Lane, that is his second wife, and they got married in 1992. Her name is Dana, and Dana is a real angel, and she can fly higher than Superman. And you're going to understand why. So in 1995, remember they are married for 3 years. This Superman, he unfortunately had a equestrian accident. He was a competitor. He was a sportsman. He did all kinds of sports, and he loved it. And in this day, he is competing, and he's finalizing the competition when the horse has to jump those 3 bars. The 3 high bars is the most difficult one. He is going in speed, and the horse goes, and suddenly, nobody knows why, the horse did not go through, but he went through. He flew through the bars head first, and he broke his neck. He broke his spinal cord, and he was between life and death for some time. And then they finally were able to develop the first type of procedure to keep him alive, putting some kind of a metal bar connecting his head to the neck because it was totally cut. But what happened is that he became tetraplegic, and he only could breathe through a machine. He couldn't breathe on his own. So what happened? And he understood what was going to be of his life to the rest of his life. He said, I'm going to be a burden because I cannot even move. I can only move my eyes and the muscles of my face, not even looking sideways. In his mind, it's better to die. It's better to kill myself or to have someone legally killing me because I don't want to be the burden for my family. And then comes his angel, Dana, his wife of 3 years only. And Dana told him, you are more than a body. I love you. She said many other things. And she also said, I don't want to obligate you to do something you don't want to. But if you can give me 2 years of your life to finally decide if you really want to go through euthanasia, so please give me 2 years. And then he decided to wait. And he waited and waited. And he realized that her love was not just for the physical, handsome man, but it was for his spirit. because she gave everything for him. She abandoned her own career. She was an actress and a singer, and she stopped to dedicate her life to him, but much more than just to him. You're going to understand what I'm talking. So she was his guardian angel, and he died 9 years later. He was just 52 years old, but there were many consequences throughout his disease, but she stayed with him until the end of his life. But she also died right after him, only 17 months after he died. It's almost like, these old couples that we talk, they live together for 50 years, and when one died, the other one goes through together because misses them. They were more or less like this. They were really like soulmates, if we can say so. So now we are going to understand a little bit further. We are going to understand what is preoccupation. Preoccupation. So we are going to understand what is occupation too. But preoccupation is that when your mind is previously occupied. But what means previously occupied? Is excessively occupied, excessively thinking about something. So let's give some examples. For example, if I lose my job, then I will not be able to pay my bills. And this causes stress. This is one example, very simple. So I'm thinking, my company is not doing well, I might lose my job. And you start thinking this day by day, by day, by day, in this simple example. And this is really changing your life to the negative side. Let's think about Christopher Reeve, Superman. So, I'm paraplegic. I'm a burden. Better be dead. Because then I don't have to impose this burden on my wife or my 2-year-old child. That's what he was thinking. And when, it's very easy for us to judge others, but we don't know what they are going through. We don't know what they believe. We don't know their understanding, and we don't know the conditions of the family. In this case, he had a full support of his wife. But in others, we don't know what's going on. But let's see now, what is occupation? So occupation, my mind is occupied. My mind is busy. Our mind is always busy, always busy. But what are we keeping our minds busy? So I might lose my job, the first example. But I will update my resume. I will take refreshing classes. So I am thinking ahead. I'm occupying my mind with positive things in case something negative happens. In the case of Christopher, I'm a paraplegic. I'm a burden. But then, if you don't have the strength, someone else can help you to occupy your mind with positive things. And in this case was his wife. She told him, you are more than your body. I love you. We are going to fight this together. We are going to overcome it. And this is what is occupation. This is what we have to do in our lives, to occupy our minds with positive things. Whenever a problem comes, whenever a difficult situation reaches, and we have those almost every day, sometimes little, sometimes big, but occupy our minds in a positive way. The preoccupation only causes stress and don't help anyone. Don't help yourself and don't help your family or friends that are trying to help you to move on in a different direction. And now I'm going to put a tiny piece of the movie just for you to understand a little bit more about Christopher's situation.
Have you ever heard of the Superman curse? Never stop.
Wait, this is not where I wanted to put the video. So let me find the video here. What is the YouTube that I left open? Oh, here. I guess it's here. Yeah.
Indulged into research about his injury.
Can you hear?
Again by his 50th birthday.
It's not volume, I think.
Uh-oh.
Studies of antibody.
So let's go back to the PowerPoint
Yeah.
and let me see if I can move it to the PowerPoint is here. It's just that in the. I think it's here. I think.
After the shock was gone, even if you don't believe in curses, you might start
What is
questioning
it? So it's here.
your beliefs. The infamous Superman curse
It's
refers
not
to
showing
series of
it.
misfortunes that have plagued
We need to close that other video.
involved in adaptations of
Close
several
that.
Okay, so let me see. PowerPoint.
In particular, it is related to
Why
the
doesn't
actors
show
who
the
played
It's showing on the
PowerPoint?
screen.
But it's not showing here for me.
For example, George
It's
Reeves,
okay,
who started in
because you wanna.
Let me see. No, because the video is long and I want to show a little tiny piece.
No. Can you play from the PowerPoint? Open the slide.
Superman on television from 19.
No?
No, that's crazy.
Okay.
52 to 19.
I don't know what's
All
going
right.
on.
Just
Like, can we exit here? So can I close
close
this?
it.
Okay. Okay, now.
Okay, now open this presentation. That's what I was saying. Click here. There it is.
Okay, so
Now
now.
Play.
But it's more or less
Have you
here.
ever heard of the
How
Superman
do I
curse?
move the. Oh,
just
maybe
grab it.
here.
Yeah. Let me do it.
Never stop.
It doesn't allow me.
There's no way of like.
Can you press the arrows to see if you can jump forward?
And even if you don't believe in curses, you
No, it won't allow us to like to get.
might start questioning your beliefs.
It would need to
The
be from
Superman
the.
curse refers to a series of misfortunes that
Where is
plague
this?
creative people
Is it on the
involved in
web or
adaptations.
did you save on the? Did you save on the desktop your presentation?
I don't know. David is the one who did.
Is her presentation saved on the desktop? I saved our presentation.
No.
Is her presentation saved?
From the drive.
No.
Let's
If it
try.
doesn't
Let's
work.
try. Is this the one?
Yeah, that's the video. Can you share
Reeves
it?
did research about his injury and vowed to walk again by his 50th birthday. His confidence was rooted partly in studies of antibody. That, when combined.
Let me try one more thing. So your presentation is this, right?
Yeah.
And this is the video? My goodness. I'm sorry, Angel.
Tell everybody to back down this time.
Incredible.
Well, let's see how we're gonna do here
Just-
to put back the
just,
presentation. So even without the
just that.
video. Maybe enter. Okay, so
I want
It's
to
fine.
just skip this line.
I'm afraid of touching it now. So unfortunately, I cannot show the video. The video was a very powerful video because it shows in 1 minute what happened after the accident. 1 year after the accident, Dana and the Christopher, they got together and they start thinking, what can we do to improve your life? And then they reached to some paraplegic associations, and they were trying to reach to get help. And then they understood there was very little help to such a degree of a problem. And then they decided to act. That's when the video showed him only 1 year after the accident. He is in a special wheelchair with a machine that helps him to breathe, going to the Oscars. So since the accident, he had not left his home, but he decided to go to the Oscars to talk about what happened to him, but even much deeper, how the industry of the movies can work in order to help the message, to do movies showing difficult realities of people, because they have such a powerful tool and they can put this tool to help others. After this, they opened a foundation that in the beginning was Christopher's Reeve Foundation. That was a foundation to help people with spinal cord problems. And he started traveling all over the place, becoming an advocate for this cause. Even went to the Congress to ask for funds, for money, for research. They opened the foundation. Later on, when he started getting very debilitated, Dana joined the foundation. She became the president and then became Christopher Dana Reeves Foundation. And it still exists until nowadays. And millions of dollars are donated, and they help hundreds and hundreds of patients, helping even with the modern machines nowadays that people can actually get, not just wheelchairs, but mechanical arms and legs. So his legacy lives throughout his life and throughout Dana's life as well. So continue here. We are going to talk a little bit about the preoccupation and occupation again. So I didn't know, but Christopher Reeve and Robin Williams, they were friends in college. They happened to be roommates, and they both were in Juilliard School in New York City, and they both got famous. So their friendship continued, but what happened, unfortunately, is that you already know what happened to Robin Williams. So Robin Williams was this actor that made everyone laugh. He was a comedian, and he was famous for being very, very humorous. But he was also famous for being extremely charitable. Very few people know about that, but he was very, very charitable. Unfortunately, in a point of his life, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, more or less 10 years after the death of Christopher Reeve. And he didn't know how to deal with this. He was resisting a lot. He was battling. And quickly, the disease was giving very tough consequences in his physical body and his mental ability. And in addition to this, he was battling depression, who is a terrible thing that kills millions of people, and is almost like a silent killer, because a lot of time you don't know the person has depression. You don't know the person is living with that. And the person apparently is happy, is fine, is friendly, and that's what was going on in his life. And then he gave in many of the vices he had in the past, drugs and alcohol. So unfortunately, he couldn't resist. The resistance became very little. And it seems that he didn't really have so much support like Christopher Reeve had. And this is a sentence that he wrote. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always. So he was writing about himself, and nobody knew, because he loved to write beautiful, thoughtful, positive sentences. So this, we go back to the beginning of the lecture when I said that we cannot judge. We cannot judge anyone. We in Spiritism, we know suicide is a terrible thing and we should never do it. And if we discover someone is trying to do it, we have to help the best we can, even with doctors and any type of therapy outside of Spiritism, because this is our nature. We should help others, but we should not judge anyone for whatever they do. So this was an example of occupation. That's what the Christopher Reeve did. And he founded the Christopher and Dan Reeve Foundation, the one I mentioned that helps millions of people until nowadays, not just in the United States, but it's international. And pre-occupation, when you don't know what to do, the burden becomes too big, and unfortunately you can take wrong decisions. So in Spiritism, we know that our beautiful planet Earth is a planet of trials and expiations. We are going into the phase of regeneration, but we don't feel it yet. We see so many problems. 2 days ago, I think, unfortunately, someone in Russia, a group of people in Russia, killed like 60 people inside the movie theater. How is that possible? How you think it's normal? It's not normal. But in Spiritism, we understand that for our planet to improve, a lot of spiritual cleansing has to happen. That's when everybody keeps saying, oh, but how is it improving if we day by day we see horrible things happening? It is improving. Like if your house gets flooded and there is a lot of mud in your living room, you think this is a total disaster. It is for that time, but you need to clean that and start anew. And we have to do our part. We have to pray. We have to be active in doing good, not just pointing fingers to what is negative, but trying to do something that we can help others to change this negative view, focusing on what is good and what is love, because the media only shows that. The media only shows what sells, and what sells is what is negative. We have to show what is positive. So, is this our life? It could be. Imagine we are in Miami. So our life can be a happy time. We go to the beach with our family. We are celebrating. We can celebrate the sun almost every day in this beautiful city. But from one moment to the other, things can change upside down. We don't know. Here, the child got sick. But what can happen? Maybe the wife dies. It's so many things. Maybe it's a catastrophe that don't affect just you, but affects the whole city. We don't know. But this is the planet that we live right now, and we have to learn how to live with it. This is the beautiful medium, Chico Xavier, beautiful inside and out. His soul was like an angel. And he is the one who always mentions that the happy times shall pass, and the negative times shall pass too. Meaning, don't think your happiness is forever, and don't think your sadness is forever. It's up to us to change our way of thinking, going back to preoccupation on occupation. Occupy your mind with something positive. In the case here, the parents search for a doctor, going through treatments. They are helping their daughter. The love in action. Different than, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's not going to help. It's just going to make things worse for you and for her. And we also need to develop patience and resignation. This is something to develop, especially in our society that everything is so quick, everything moves so fast. Even when you're listening to messages in WhatsApp, people put in the two speed, so you don't hear the person saying, "Hi, Angie, how are you?" Hi, Angie, because we are always desperate for that to finish because we have something else. And many times things happen in our lives to obligate us to develop patience and resignation. Why resignation? Because sometimes we cannot change certain things. We have to accept it will have to be like this for now, because that's what God wants. It's not what we want. We don't really know what is better for us. We think we know. We think, oh, if I get that job, I will be happy. Are you sure? Maybe that job pays 50% more than your salary right now, but maybe that job is going to make you so unhappy. So we don't know. That's why we have always to pray and to ask for connection, for inspiration, for guidance. So in our decisions, we can be more than ourselves, but we can have this higher power helping us to take decisions. And another one that I want to show you. So Helen Keller, we are in the United States. She is another famous figure. Every single child knows about Helen Keller in school. Helen Keller is an example to everybody all over the world. You see here, 1880, she was born normal. In 1882, she had a disease, a high fever. And when she finally got over it, she was blind and she was deaf. And because of the situation, the family didn't know how to handle her, and she became a terrible child. Terrible. She was rebellious, aggressive, and she became an introvert. She didn't want to anything that she didn't know where it was or what was that. She broke, she threw away. So it was super difficult. But her parents, they didn't give up. They start searching and searching ways to help the child. And they were kind of influential people. So they even had the help of Alexander Graham Bell. Wow. And Graham Bell is the one who mentioned a school for the blind kids. And maybe a teacher from the school could come to their home to help Helen Keller to develop some kind of understanding. And that's what happened. We have this beautiful children's book that has her story. And here, in this moment, this is the moment that Helen said her life changed completely when she was 7 years old. Because she was learning Braille, and she was learning a way to communicate through your hands. It's a way they put the fingers and you start understanding words. But she didn't understand the words. What is this? I don't understand. And then the teacher took her hand and put in a water. And in the other hand, she spelled water. And Helen said in that moment, was almost like her mind shifted and went from darkness to light. And she doesn't even understand, but from one moment to the other, she totally understood the meaning of every single word. And then she didn't stop. She became a really amazing person. She started... She quickly learned here, that's what I mentioned, the Braille, lip reading. Lip reading is when she put her hand in the mouth of someone else. And then finger spelling and how to speak. So if we think how to speak, the video that I had, I can't show because it's not going to work, but it shows her speaking, shows her talking a little bit about herself. And here is like you can see a little bit of her achievements. She did so much more. But she was the first blind person in the world to graduate from college, Harvard University. And not just the first blind person, but she was a woman in the time that it was very hard for women to go to college. And she graduated from college. So in that time also, Braille had many different parameters, and sometimes it was difficult for they understand each other. So she created a system to make it standard, internationally standard, so everyone will talk in the same way. And she was the early proponent of birth control when nobody talked about this. It was like a taboo, but she was the one talking about. So she co-founded the American Civil Liberties Union in 1920, advocate for the disabled, workers, women's rights. She was the author of 14 books, and she was a public speaker who traveled to 35 countries talking about the need of the government to help the life of the disabled, not just the blind, but the ones in wheelchairs. She is the one responsible for advocating for buildings to be able to create a ramp. It was in her time, it didn't pass. But soon after, the institution that she created got together and they went to Congress in a huge a demonstration of people going in the stairs of the Congress in Washington in their hands to demonstrate they couldn't reach there if they were in a wheelchair. And then finally the law passed, and nowadays is an obligation to all buildings, public buildings especially, or institutions that receive people to have access by wheelchair. So this was like an amazing accomplishment. So this is the video. Let me see if it works here. Uh-oh, no, it doesn't.
Just got better.
Okay, so let's go back. Okay, I'm here. I think. Uh-oh. Yes. Okay. So, too bad. But now, specifically talking about spiritism. So, love, forgiveness, and charity. So, love, forgiveness, and charity, it is from all of us. We all have this within us. But we also have this very strong in the Spiritist doctrine. This book, especially, The Gospel According to Spiritism, this book is based on the beautiful teachings of our Master Jesus. And if we can apply these teachings in our lives and in the lives of others, we can help so many people to improve their lives. But we have to think always that the improvement has to start within us. We cannot tell somebody else, oh, you have to forgive your neighbor because the fault was not that bad, when you cannot forgive your brother or your sister for whatever they did. So, as I said before, it's very easy to point fingers to others to do it, but it is more difficult for you to do it. So in Spiritism, we know we have this moral obligation of doing something, and when we ask somebody else to do, and we have that background that you are actually doing it, you have this moral strength. We also understand that we are never alone. We have guardian angels always helping us. They are like our personal secretaries, and sometimes they pull your ears because you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or you are not listening to what they are telling us. Many times we get involved in such a negative vibration, preoccupied with our problems. We focus so much in our problems, and we don't vibrate higher. So we vibrate here. When we get preoccupied, we go down and we vibrate lower with the negative energies and the lower spirits who hanging there. When we are able to get our mind occupied, we raise our vibration a little bit more than the normal, and then oh, I just had a great idea. And your guardian angel is like, oh, thank God, she finally listened. So the idea was not just yours, but you finally open up to listen what he or she was telling you for such a long time. So Spiritism helps us to develop our inner strength, the compassion towards others, and the sense of universal family. It helps us with so many things, but these three are so important. So the inner strength, that I mentioned in the beginning, yes, we can. We all can do so much. But if we continue, or if you keep saying that, oh, I can't, this is difficult, oh, today is raining, or whatever, I'm not going to do this because, then it's a problem. You have always to say, yes, I can do it. Let me ask God, Jesus, to give me strength to continue, to improve, to overcome difficulties. And the compassion towards others, we are so quick to judge others, but we don't understand we all have faults. We all have problems. Nobody here is perfect. Each one has a different issue. But if we see somebody else doing some mistake or doing something wrong, and we quickly judge, we are not developing it. If we think about what kind of mistakes we have done, and maybe nobody else knows about it, then we would be like, oh, wait, I also do something wrong, or I did. So it's better I stop judging, because if you judge, you will be judged. And the sense of universal family. We think about helping our friends, our close family, but we don't understand that our neighbor, somebody in the Spiritist Center, is also our family, is our universal family. Yes, it's not your blood related, but in a spiritual sense it is. And when you help him or her, you are helping your family in general. One day this idea will be spread, and we will understand them as our real family. And here are some people, super famous. You all know every single one. And every single one did amazing things. They went through big problems, harsh problems. And you can imagine Gandhi in India. Gandhi, he was a lawyer. He was not a poor person. He was a lawyer. He was very, very intelligent. And he was rebellious against the oppression of the United Kingdom that was imposing in his country. They couldn't be free, and they had to be always following the orders. But his idea was a revolution through love. How is that possible? How this is going to happen? It's impossible. You are crazy. I'm sure this is what he heard. But then he said, no, I will start with myself. So he became this example. You probably know that he went through many, many times in situations that he put himself through starvation to call the authorities, to call publicity to why he was going into starvation. And long story short, one day, finally, England decided to set them free. Lots of other things happened, but he was able to make this unbelievable movement. Then we have Martin Luther King Jr. here in America. here in America, in a time that the oppression, the differences were so big. And this is not very old. This was in 1960s. Can you imagine? We are in 2024. It's not even 100 years ago. And in the 60s, the black community could not go in the same area in a bus, for example. They had to go to the back of the bus. The whites could go in the front. And why? Why it had to be like this? Why the segregation was so strong, even if it was better than in South Africa. Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela, he was in jail for 60 years. In jail because he was fighting against segregation, fighting against the oppression, not with arms, but again, trying to make it in a rational way that they could be in peace. They could be living in the same place without so much problems. And he is the one who was put in jail in terrible conditions. Really horrible things happened to him in jail. And when he finally was free, he came with the peace in his mind. His wife, I don't know if you saw the movies, but his wife, she was a fighter. She didn't want a peace. She wants to destroy everything, throw the government. And I'm following the clock there. I think that clock is not moving.
Yeah, the clock is on. It's 5 minutes to 12.
So I'm like, I have time. But so let's just show the other people here that they also made amazing things. And to finalize, this is a picture that I love because this talks about reincarnation. So we all start at one point, we get old, and then we die, but then we wake up again in the spiritual realm, and sooner or later we come back to earth, we reincarnate, and the process continues towards the light. And in these beautiful books, the Spirit's book and the Gospel, they teach us many of these items. These are just few. We are immortal souls. Nothing happens by a chance. The pain is painful, it's difficult, but it teaches us important lessons. We are never alone. And most of all, faith in God, because God is our loving Mother and Father. And these people here, they are Brazilian Spiritists, and they lived what they teach. And this one that very few people know about, his name is Jerônimo Mendonça. His life is pretty much similar to Christopher Reeve, because he also became paralyzed, and he only could move the muscles of his face. And only moving the muscles of his face, he traveled all over Brazil, preaching and teaching love, forgiveness, and helping others to go through their problems. And he also opened schools, hospitals, nurseries. He was an amazing, loving machine. And just I finish with these sentences for us to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to leave that here for us. Thank you very much for the kind words, for the encouragement, for the wisdom that you shared with us today, and looking at all of those examples, like extremely inspiring, particularly when we look with the eyes of Spiritism and how it can guide us to have more resilience in our lives and how to apply that. So thank you so much for that. Now we're going to move on to our passes. So I'm going to ask for the pass givers to please take your positions. We're going to do a prayer. So can we hit the light? Can we hit the light?
David will get the light.
Thank you. I'm going to invite everybody to find a comfortable position, close our eyes, then elevate our thoughts to the God Almighty above, thanking Him in our high vibrations to this time that we're here together, for the opportunity to learn and to grow together in Spiritism. May we maintain this vibration and open our hearts and minds for the passes. So be it.
Amen.
One more time, let us elevate our thoughts and thank our spiritual benefactors for this time together, for the passes that we received. And may we carry this loving, warm energy with us into our week. And so be it.